Need to know. I'm like this. That, may not sound right, but if they're not paying no bills, they don't need to know.
Right.
That's where you really find out if people really care.
Choose you to have hope until we're old, to stay faithful to this love one day at a time.
So how do you keep family out of your marriage?
Well, I think it's important to your marriage is your marriage.
That's right.
And so when you get married, that's what a lot of couples need to understand. That that's a part of in Genesis when you get a wife and a husband, you leave. So you have to work these things out yourself. Every problem that you have is not your mama's problem.
That's right.
Every problem that you have is not your daddy's problem. And so people have to learn to get back and ask God to fix whatever is failing in their marriage. And so it's as simple as that.
Right.
Because you can let your family in, you can let your friends in, and by the time you get through, then you'll be sitting there trying to figure out how did all this information get all around town. And so you keep it confined to your walls, and let God do it.
You don't tell everyone about things in your household. That's how I was able to keep in any struggle that we had. You know what? You go to God. You don't go to your family. I think about that. None of my family knew anything about what we were going through. But the one thing that you have to remember that's conversation between you and your spouse. Sure, people say, well, yeah, but I got this good girlfriend that I can just tell anything. Well, maybe you can tell them some things. But in your household, like I said, it comes to that compromise. You have to make sure that you're communicating with each other. Sometimes it might be silence in your house. Maybe that's your way of communicating. But you're not going and telling everybody else, because you know what? You really don't want everybody else's input into your marriage, because it may just be a little something that you're going through for a second. Then you go get their opinion. Okay, then you tell them too much stuff, and then they're looking at your spouse a different way. Or if they go tell them about you, they're looking at you like, okay, I know how she really is, or I know how he really is. So you make sure that you keep God the center. Make sure that you continue to pray for each other. Because like I said, marriage is not easy. Marriage can be a wonderful thing. But once you get that disconnect, that's why you see so many people are divorced and things like that. It's the one thing, I feel like we've always been together. Not always in agreement, but I think the one thing that we've never done, we've never walked out and said, we're not going to be together. And I feel like we really haven't let anybody in our marriage. We don't go tell people any of our struggles.
And that's
You just tell the Lord.
Even if you were under our pastoral care, what you come and tell us, I'm sure what goes on with us, you wouldn't want it out these doors.
Right.
If we had problems, then we get on the phone and, that's just Victoria. She's really struggling with this. She's struggling with that.
Yeah.
A lot of people got their ears. That's good news.
Right.
They gonna go and tell it. Then so you have to keep things in your family. Everybody don't need to know. I'm like this. That may not sound right, but if they're not paying no bills, they don't need to know.
Right.
That's where you really find out if people really care. Call them up and tell them that your air conditioner broke down, and you don't know how you're gonna fix it, and then see, with your in-laws or whoever, what they say. Well, they're gonna tell you what. Well, we probably not gonna be able to help you on this time.
Right.
So you have to look to God to fix whatever is wrong in your relationship.
Now, we had people in our lives that tell us different things, but I tell people, I said, I'm a good secret keeper. You tell me something, it's not going nowhere. Now, do I have friends that it is? Yeah, but I'm just not that way. So for me, I'm a good secret keeper. If somebody's telling you something in confidence, but as far as our household, the struggle that we had, my family didn't even know. They had no idea, and they said we saw. My brother told me, he said, "You talk to me every day," and I said, "I know." He said, "You never said a word," and I knew how to come to church, put my face on. But you know what? Some things you just keep private, and you really give it to the Lord. You really seek the Lord. Like I said, everybody that watches this, they may not be a Christian, and that's okay too. But the same rule applies. That you know what? Depend on each other. Okay, if you're not to that part yet, if you're not a Christian, okay, that's fine. But depend on each other. Lean on each other. That's what you're supposed to do. And lean on, at some point you might lean on the Lord, but you got to be like this with each other. You got to be like this. You can't let anybody come and do that. You got to be like this when they come. That's the way I see it. And that's the way we've been. I've always been this way before we end. I've always known who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I've never allowed anybody to tell me who Chris is. And that's how I've lived my life. And nobody can tell me who he is. I've been with him a long time.
Amen.